understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world. Yes, y'all. What's up, people? It's your boy Humble Dad back with another edition of Humble Dad Podcast. Got a great show for you this evening. Why? Because I said so, and it typically is because I try to give people what they want or even think that they don't know that they need, right? And so we're going to be talking about what's a safe space, and more particularly, we're going to talk about from a man's perspective and a man's point of view. Of course, if we don't talk about the men, it's interesting dialogue, right? If we say something about men, then women say, well, what about us? And then we say something about women, they say, well, what about the men? So, we're going to talk about both to some degree, and the way that the reason I got to this particular point was a video on tonight's conversation. Shout out to them. I think it's Ace Metaphor. He was saying that guys are not given a safe space to talk about what it is that they want to talk about without the woman making it about her. And he wasn't referring to just your significant other. He was referring to all women, that when the conversation is talking about something in relation to themselves, or to the woman takes it back and makes it about them. So we're going to be talking about what is a safe space and all the things that come with it, or the things that I kind of thought of. So the question for this evening is, to start it off, is what kind of things do you like to do to relax? Okay. And so we're going to start with Robert.
Hey, what's going on, everybody, man? What I like to do to relax now, honestly, it's just spending time with my old lady. We watch movies, we dedicate time, we put time aside. And not only has it impacted my ability to relax, but it's just impacted our ability to connect and to have set aside time for each other, man. So it keeps the light moments light, and it makes the hard conversations, when they have to be had, able to be had, just from our ability to connect in ways that don't, always have to be so serious. You know what I mean? So yeah, I like hanging out with her, watching movies.
Yeah, I appreciate
you for having me.
Say it again.
I said, yeah, thank you for having me, man.
Oh yeah, man, absolutely, man. I appreciate what you got going on over there. Y'all should check him out. Yeah, almost look like movies when even though it's just a conversation, but the way that it's put together is really, really pleasant on the eyes, and also the information that's being shared. So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right. So we're gonna bring up next to the stage, Ash.
Hello, people.
What's good?
I'm ready to go back to bed, but it's nothing new. Let's see, I got a list. How about that, y'all? I got a list now.
Okay.
Let's see, it's cooking, video gaming, driving, and having one-on-one time with my kids. Hint, hint, the professional. I like to drive.
Okay, that's what's up. What games you like to play?
Well, currently I need to upgrade because I'm being forced to with this new tech and they're about to roll out. I do Street Fighter. I tried to get into the whole Gears of Wars, but I'm not really the army type. But give me some Street Fighter, some Tekken, some Mortal Kombat. You got me.
Man, you throwback.
Oh yeah, I'm a throwback girl. I still got all the. I try to keep everything.
And what's the one-on-one time look like?
One-on-one time. I just let my kids talk. I just let them talk. Because at the same time, I want to create this, like the topic of tonight, a safe place where you can talk to me about anything, even if I don't want to hear it. I still want you to roll what happened today. Roll me them highlights. Let me know if this kid is bothering you, or who you done fell out with today that we're gonna pick up next week and we're gonna be right back together. Did such and such call you today? Did you call them? Did you make sure they get home safe? Just like little things. And then
I like that. You said, give me the highlights. I like.
Yeah, just give me the highlights. Like, what did you do? Like, who pissed you off? Because I'm pretty sure there was a teacher that you didn't agree with. I'm pretty sure that one of your friends said something that you really didn't agree with, or you may have said something, or you may call somebody side eye.
That's what's up.
And that was the case today, the side eye. I was like, people don't like you, right? People is not gonna like you just because it's you, because you walk around and it's you being you, and you don't have to do nothing extra.
That's true. That's true. All right, we're gonna bring to the stage Lost in Translation.
Good evening, HD. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, bro. I'm doing well. And yourself?
I am well.
That's what's up. What you got on it?
One of the things I like to do to relax is disconnect from everybody. And I'll tell you why. Normally, I akin myself to a sponge. And normally what I do is I try to gather up information from different places and give it to other people. Well, it's very rare that I get a chance to replenish myself because 95% of the people in my life usually take something from me. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I have to go back and be aware of how it's making me feel. You see what I'm saying? So instead of me venting to somebody else, I do a lot of self-awareness and internal searching. Sometimes I do a lot of sleep, and in that sleep I have dreams, and I interpret my own dreams to figure out exactly what's going on, because only me can talk to me the way I need to be talked to. You see what I'm saying? And when I do that, I uncover things that are missing from my life and go back and replenish those things that are missing. So that way I could be of use to other people when it comes time for them to figure out exactly what they need to figure out, so I can give out the information I need to give out. But for the most part, how I regenerate is I have to be alone for a period of time. I don't know if you noticed this or not, but I've been really, really busy over the last few months. And what I had to do is I had to disconnect. Even if I have to not make certain appearances, that type of thing. But those are some things that I have to do. I have to be aware of what's going on with me, because only me is responsible for me.
That's good. Only me is responsible for me.
Right.
Yeah, that's good. And that's good that you're able to do that. My wife was telling me I need to learn how to do that.
Right.
And that's a challenge for me to just disconnect.
Right.
So I'm gonna have to figure out how to do that, because I'm always trying to get to the to a goal. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
if it's not one goal, it's another. So I get it. I gotta figure out how to do that myself. Hey, we're gonna welcome to the stage Miss Tamia. Oh, what's going on, Miss Tamia?
Hello. So to relax, if it's something where I'm feeling overwhelmed, overstimulated, to be very honest, like Lost in Translation, I need to disconnect. I actually found out, since we're talking mental health tonight, I found out that there were a lot of times earlier this year where learning more about my son, who I found is on the spectrum, I ended up finding out that I do experience ADHD. I don't like to say I have it, because I'm a child of God and I believe God is in control of how I feel and experience things. So I experience episodes of just hyperactive, like overstimulation. In those moments where I'm easily irritable, I need to disconnect. I need a moment in my room, just to lay down, lights off, so that I'm not projecting that onto my children. I have 2 toddlers. So when it's that and I'm overstimulated, I need to do that. If it's worrying, anxiety, things that I just shouldn't be feeling, I go to my Bible. Because I just find that when I read my Bible, there's promise in there. And I just feel a lot better. And it reminds me that I'm not carrying this for myself. So I will open my Bible, and it calms me, because y'all know, if you've been here with me for a minute, I have my highlighters and things like that. So highlighting in my Bible, taking notes, like looking into the context, that actually Bible studying, it calms me down. And then I also like to watch shows. So I'm a binge girl. If you give me a show on Netflix or Hulu and you tell me about it, I'm gonna watch it in 2 days. And to me, that feels relaxing. It doesn't matter. Like, I like that I'm gonna come home after the kids are asleep, I'm gonna watch my show. And that feels like me winding down. And my husband and I also watch movies. So like Mr. Robert, watching movies together, spending quality time together. Those things help me. And then last one, I have a really good one that I discovered: brown noise. Y'all should try it. Put your headphones in. So you know you have like white noise for babies. And that happens because it sounds like the womb. So when babies are newborns and you have all those white noise machines, it's so they feel like they're back in the womb. Well, there's brown noise and it helps with stress reduction. It helps with focus. So like if you're up and you just need to focus on something, and it tunes out other noises. So if you put on headphones and you just play brown noise, I'm telling you, I'm gonna leave that there. Try it, and next week, y'all tell me. I'll send a
That's,
reminder.
that's what's up. Okay.
Yeah.
So, have you seen a TV show called Bear?
No.
I don't know if it's on Hulu or Netflix, but it's a
Like
it's a solid show.
BARE?
Yeah, Bear. BEAR. Sorry,
Okay.
BEAR.
Okay, got it.
There's also a show called I don't know if I can say it on here, but Steve Martin is in it. It's something about somebody got axed in the apartment or something like that. Selena Gomez or something like that, and Martin Short is also in it.
Okay.
Because I think it's season 2 or 3. So,
Okay.
we got welcome my homie. You know what I'm saying, long standing Mr. Prototype.
What's
What's
good,
homie?
Man, just chilling, living a dream.
Appreciate your patience, homie.
Yeah,
So now you can't say you ain't got no answer because you didn't go first this time.
Man. I have a caveat to relaxing. I have to be absolutely exhausted or I can't relax. Like my body got to be paralyzed from working out or something like that. Like I can't have any energy and relax. You know what I'm saying? So once I hit that point, then all methods is on, right? Whether that be the hot tub or like cold tub, hot tub, getting massages. And I like to binge watch TV too, right? You know what I'm saying? And also to add to it, like I'll be, I don't know if we can say this, but I like to get my body in a certain mode to really like feel every bit of relaxation I need to kind of rejuvenate, because I'm probably going to tear my body up the next day all over again. So yeah. So that's what I do to relax. Yeah. Like to me, I'll binge watch something. But I can't do it if I have any amount of energy, because I have to expend it all.
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I probably need to do that. Like I haven't played sports in a long time, and I think my body is missing it. And I keep saying I'm going to. I just haven't. But the things I do that I would say to do to relax when I do is definitely hang out with my wife. We watch different shows. She typically picks them out, which is cool with me because that means I don't have to think about, I don't got to keep watching and seeing the previews of what we're going to watch, right? You know what I'm saying? So she picks out some really good ones. And then also hanging out with my kids. One of the things that I learned, and it's hard for me because I ain't grown up with a father, so I'm just learning every day about how to be one, is that they just want me to be in their presence. Like, they just want to, I asked them the other day, I asked GSA, like, what do I need to do? And she was like, well, you right here talking to me, so that's good. And then if we go somewhere, that's good. I said, so it's not like something else? Like, she's like, no. She said, I said, so I'm thinking too much about this. She said, yes. And I've never met my 14-year-old. She is a talker, and she's gonna tell you what it is in her introverted way, right? She's not an introvert at home. Yeah. So those are things I like to do to relax, hanging out with my family independently. So we're gonna get into this. I think and hope that this is a safe space when y'all come here and y'all rock with me. You know what I'm saying? Be able to say whatever it is that you want to say and be respectful to one another. So we're gonna start it like this. How would you describe a safe space in a relationship? How would you describe a safe space in a relationship? And we're going to start with the psychiatrist, Miss Tamia.
Psychologist. I cannot prescribe medications. I can't prescribe medications. I would say a safe space in a relationship is a space where you can be honest. And when I say honest, I mean you can be honest in a not safe space. That can be a scream for survival, whatever the case may be. But I mean honest without fear. I feel like once you are communicating with your partner and there is fear, not fear of, oh my gosh, what I may be communicating is hard for me, because that's different, but fear in a matter of, I don't know how my partner will respond, or if my partner's response will put us at stake. And I'm talking like every time you want to express yourself or share something, you're kind of walking on eggshells. Um, that is not a safe space. So I feel like a safe space is where you feel like you can openly be your authentic self, meaning whether that be your best self or not your best self. You feel that you can show up 100% raw who you are without the fear of that person making you uncomfortable, not in a way where it's like blatantly not that nice. So we know our partners can make us uncomfortable in general. If we're hearing something we don't want to hear, that's different. That's on us. But I mean uncomfortable where they're not even going to hear what I'm saying or see me for myself. I might end up regretting that I shared what I shared.
Appreciate that. Who you got next?
Prototype.
Man, a safe space in a relationship, man. I don't even know if that exists from a man's perspective. Like, trying to share with your woman who will probably never truly understand you is basically impossible. You know what I mean? Like, it's like talking. Oh, whatever. It's like talking to a pet, where like you're telling your pet your problems, and they're just looking at you like, like you talking and you getting it out, but and they're there to like kind of comfort you or whatever, but they really have nothing to give you back. So I don't necessarily know what a safe space in a relationship is. So I can't even describe it. I think this is where the concept of like why guys have better relationships with their homeboys, because I could say some wild stuff to my peer group, my homeboys, and they'd be like, you know what, I did that. I've been there. Or I understand. There was a time that I did something of the similar. You know what I mean? Women just don't have them kind of stories. So
Interesting. Okay, who you got going next?
let's go with Robert.
I ain't gonna lie, I can't hold you. I kind of agree with you, man. Like not even kinda. I holistically agree with you. I don't think there's no such thing as a safe space uh when it comes to the male anatomy dealing with the female anatomy. I think we can try, we can attempt, but I think at some point we get to a brick wall where I still can't be the best and the worst version of me in the same day, where I can't get it right and I can't get it wrong in the same day. And understanding that like we're human, we have feelings, we think, we live, we fail, we die, all within the same thoughts of the same construct that you have in the same day. And God forbid you have a problem without a solution. You know what I mean? Especially if it's near and dear to the person that you're sharing it with. I think honestly, I'll even use my relationship as the barometer, but I think she genuinely tries to be a safe space, and I commend her for that. But much like Prototype said, like it gets to a point where I can't tell you what I'm really thinking, because at some point you're gonna turn what I'm thinking into something that you personalize for yourself. And you got to figure out, okay, where's your security and where I feel when this is strictly a moment about myself. The one thing I'll say is I got a homeboy. I talk to him on a regular basis. We talk every day. I call him and we have 7 minutes where, we don't go past that, because anything past 7 minutes can turn into complaining. And we have a rule. We stop at 7 minutes. And so I'm able to say exactly what I'm thinking the rawest way, or the best way. I don't have to doctor it up. And after that, we leave that conversation exactly where it is. I guarantee you, if I repeat any portion of that conversation in my home life, that I would be on this podcast with y'all right now. It wouldn't exist. So for the first time in history, Prototype, I'm with you, bro. There's no such thing as a safe. Now, there are there's a such thing as healthy communication, and I think you talked about it. Shout out to tonight's conversation. See, I'm on my wall. Is a thing called emotional intelligence, and I think that if you use and exercise that, it allows conversations that are hard to last a little bit longer. All right, there's some things that could be unpacked and unlocked, but emotional intelligence only goes so far, because at the end of the day, everybody in the relationship is self-interested to a certain degree. And so, yeah, I think men teach men how to be women. I mean, men teach men how to be men. Women teach women how to be women. And there's only certain things that I can get from another man that I can't get from a woman to a certain degree, if I want to keep it safe.
I would add that men teach women how to be women also. Yeah.
I said it that way because I didn't want to get beat up by the ladies.
You didn't feel like it was a safe space?
Yeah, I did. It's not a safe space. It's
like right
safe.
here, but dude, this is my show. You know what I'm saying? Safe. This is my show.
But the point is, Prototype, I agree with you, man. There's no such thing as a safe space, and there's no place like home. So don't interrupt me while I'm at home. I love it.
Yeah. Who you got going next, Robert? You put on mute. You went on mute.
I like Dwayne Jones, man. You always got something good to say, man. Talk to us, bro.
Man, I appreciate that. Good evening, beautiful people, by the way. Man, I say safe space, and you capped it off with home. I look at it like the game tag. There's home base.
Yeah.
I look at the safe space as your home should be that safe space, right? So, as much as I'd love to agree with y'all that there isn't a safe space, I think there should be, right? There should be. So I'm optimistic in that regard, because and especially with this, right? A lot of what we're talking about is, we can get beat up by our spouse because they can't understand, or we believe that they can't understand. There's times where they say to us that we don't understand. Right. And I think the goal of a relationship is the willingness for both to understand. So I believe, as for a safe space in a relationship, is where both are willing to try to understand each other to the best of our abilities. And then I'll also then put in this: if this is so true that women are the weaker vessels, we already knew what we were getting into. Right. And if we also then talking about emotional intelligence, we already knew what we were getting into. So if we are supposed to be the stronger vessel, then we should be able to endure those things in which we do endure. And I think in it, there's a greater level of love that can be extracted from that. So it sucks. I ain't even gonna sit here in front. It sucks, but it's a reality in which we do have to live with. Sometimes, just like what you're saying, Prototype. Yeah, we do get that look like, what the heck? What are you? We get the look, but then in it, we got to keep it moving. So my idea of a safe space is home base, where, hey, you come and you should not be tagged out. And if you get tagged out on home base, you outside of the parameters of the rules. Just saying.
It's a dope analogy. Who you got going next?
Ash, you went yet?
No.
Come on with it.
Okay, mine would be I'm gonna say the word naked. Is where you're allowed to be naked. That's with clothes on, but with your mind, what's going on, your expression, without somebody getting emotional driven. That's my definition of a safe space, because I don't have one here tonight. I see now I don't have a safe space to do my podcast. But to me, that's what a safe space is when I'm able to be naked with you, and I don't have to worry about you taking offense to what I'm saying. Because some days I don't express myself very well, and sometimes I like to put the little spice, some little words in there that get the point driven home, like Bernie Mac. Sometimes I transform into Bernie Mac when I'm trying to get my point across, but it's not directed to you. And that's with that background with the call center. What people say is not directed to you. It's about the situation. You can't get personal if it's not directed towards you. And I'm gonna stop right there and go ahead and let Lost Translation go and get that thing.
Thank you, Ashley. The question is Is there a safe space in relationships?
No, it's the question is how would you describe
How
one?
would I describe it?
Yeah.
Okay. With men, heavy is the head that wears the crown. And I'm gonna explain something to you. In a relationship, you have to be trained to be able to handle people's transparency. You know what I mean? I'll give you an example. There are certain people in my life I know for a fact I can only give them certain levels of consciousness. You know what I mean? And when I'm feeling deep, I know exactly who not to come to. That's the reason why I was telling you the other day, earlier, humble dad, that when I'm feeling drained and low, I look inward. I don't express what I need to express to anybody else because I know how to talk to me. I know how to motivate me. There have only really been one, maybe two other people who could reach me, and both of them were maternal, my mother and my grandmother. There's no conversation that I can't have with them. You know what I mean? My father was one of those type of guys. He really didn't go into a whole lot of detail. He just told me what was expected. Now, the reason why certain situations are not able to exist or how it doesn't look is because most time when guys want to vent to their woman, there's a mechanism in them that requires security. And if they see any chink in the armor, it does something to them where they don't feel secure. And as your primary goal as a man is to protect them, you also have to protect their mental as well. So that's the reason why most men don't vent to their women about certain things. So don't take it offense, girls. It's just that we understand exactly how you guys work. And that's the reason why we keep certain things away from you. Now, here's the thing. We will be transparent when it comes time to certain things, but things that have to do with us in general, certain things we keep to ourselves. So that's the reason why most guys don't give women a certain level of transparency. It's like your boy said in the movie, you can't handle the truth. Well, sometimes you have to be trained to handle the truth. And sometimes we have to make space and time for us to unpack that thing. Because if we elect to give you the honor of exposing the very inner nature of us, and you fumble that ball and you use that as a weapon later on in another discussion, we're never going to treat you the same. We'll let you do whatever it is you want to do. But at the end of the day, we will never trust you the same again, ever.
Man, did anybody have something to add?
The only thing I wanted to say to that, man, was you hit the nail on the head. There's a difference between honesty and the truth.
Correct.
They all ask for honesty, but can they really handle the truth? And I love what you said. It's about literally understanding the people that labor among you. I think I said it before. One of the biggest things I had to learn was dealing with, the people around me, specifically my relationship according to knowledge. And so if I know you can't handle a certain thing, if I know you don't have the capacity to handle a certain thing, it's not for me to use the knowledge I have about you to extort you to a certain degree. I have to know what your capacity is. And there's certain things that I have to figure out before I even bring to you, because it's bad on me to know you can't handle a thing and then bring it to you and then judge you for your inability to handle it. You could still be a life partner for me. You could still be a compatibility partner for me. I still have the responsibility. I love what you said, Lost in Translation. It's on my shoulders to be able to understand what not only you can handle, but what my family can handle. And when you understand the people and the pieces around you, you're able to orchestrate those pieces to the best of your ability to get the best out of everybody. So that when you do have a thing that you have to talk about that they can handle, they can now be the resource and they can get validity in being a resource to you as well. You got to put people in the right position. I love what you said, bro. That's it.
Thank you, sir.
Prototype, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, because it's such a lonely game until you get to that point, man. Like, you know what I mean? It's tough, and trying to get somebody up to speed on what you truly need. It's the long game, and I think we had a conversation about why relationships don't work, right? because I think we instantly go in expecting this kind of safe space from someone that we'll be married to or whatever. Like, you know what I mean? Or but it's like I've been basically married almost 10 years, and I'm just now getting to a point where like all the boxes still ain't checked yet. You know what I mean? It's like I might have 7 out of 13 of them checked. Like, you know what I mean? We're still working on it. And then I still see things where I was like, you're becoming more my wife every day, opposed to where we started at. You know what I mean? And it's truly a it's truly a long process to get somebody up to speed, opposed to your homeboy or your cousin that you grew up with that's been there from the start. You know what I mean? And they understand everything that's been going on, and they're also a man who can kind of relate to you on that level, to where you start dealing with this woman and expecting her, you're expecting to shift over to her, and it's just like she doesn't compute. You know what I mean? The men she's dealt with wasn't like you, or they might have been similar, but it's not the same. She's just trying to understand you to her best ability, which is never, you know what I mean, which is never the way we understand each other. So it's such a long process, man. And I just want to make it that's out there. I want to put that out there. Like, I think we give up way too easy, and we don't understand that there's a lot of teaching that we have to do and getting that person up to speed. You know what I mean? And that's why I love the man as a company analogy. If you're the company, you have to teach any employee to adopt you know, your thing about the company,
Your
the mindset,
philosophy.
your philosophy, the mission statement, this is the business. It takes time for a person to understand why you actually started the business in the first place. You understand what I'm saying? You can't just hire somebody right in and they understand. So
That's solid, bro. I don't know if anybody want to add or say something to that, but I'll say it like this. The way that you put that together, it makes a lot of sense, because if me as a CEO, like men, y'all know who I'm talking about, like men, not like boys and dudes that just out here just doing things, but men, they think the long game. We think the long game anyway, right? We typically are thinking probably a year, 2, 5, as it relates to our goals, but I don't think we necessarily look at it like that from a relationship standpoint. And that's a very good point that you made, because if it's not going to happen today that she's going to be who we need her to be, and we're not going to, and vice versa, right? So if I can look at it as, even though we're saying that it's impossible for a woman to provide a safe space, then that means that us as leaders have almost a quitter's mindset, right? Because if I say, well, it's a long game, then that means that I got to be able to teach her to be able to receive me well. I'm talking about your wife, or or the person that you're dating. We got to figure out a way to get them to understand that the reason why I'm communicating to you is because I want to be able for you to see who I am internally, right? And how my mind works, right? And I'm not trying to say that I don't like you if I say I don't like this about you. You know what I'm saying? And I think that times happen where any woman, when I was listening to the podcast, he wasn't saying you're in a relationship. He was saying any woman takes offense to what the guy is saying, and they internalize it as it's them, as opposed to just saying, oh, okay, that's how you feel. Let me sit with that for a moment, or ask another question, right? So that was really well put, Prototype. I appreciate that. I'm gonna have to see if I can clip that for sure. So with that being said, talk to me about what's the value in being a safe space, right? What's the value in being a safe space? I give you a moment to think about that. Right? What's
I
the
can
value?
go. I don't need
Go
a
ahead.
moment.
Go ahead.
The value in being a safe space is it's kind of like building up a bank of, you know what I'm saying, for people like to deposit into, you know what I'm saying? They're depositing into you trust and all these different things. And in that, I think you're building up loyalty, you know what I'm saying, with these different people. And you can kind of lean on them in different ways. They might never be what you need them to be for you, but you being what you need them, like you could kind of Frankenstein a situation where you could be healthy. You know what I'm saying? So if people are pouring into you, that means they trust you. You know what I mean? And being trusted is a very important thing, because now you have other opportunities from that trust that you normally wouldn't have. So I think that's definitely the value in being a safe space for people. Un- you can't have too many of the toxic, you know what I mean? Like there's some toxic ones that like just that take too much out of you, and it's just like, yo, I can't do it. You know what I mean? I got to get away from this person, because eventually that spoils who you are and your mindset and how you're trying to move. So you got to be careful about being so many people's safe space. But I think it's definitely important for you to be a safe space, and I think it's good practice, for you to um know what people need, so you can kind of also expect that from know what to expect from other people.
Yeah,
Who you got going next?
Go ahead. Tamia.
So what I'm gonna say, I think that it is the most beautiful thing to be a safe space for somebody. I think that it's one of the biggest rewards that you could have as a human being, to be honest. To be trusted by someone else and for someone else to feel like they are safe with you, whether it be your spouse, your children, your friends. I feel like it shows your heart space, and I feel like it's reflective of what we are meant to be as God's children. I feel like we are supposed to be safe spaces to one another. Now, granted, in a real world, um, that is not the case. Everybody is not a safe space. But for me personally, that is one of the things that I take that fulfills me. Like to be a safe space for somebody else um, fulfills me. And that explains a lot of my friendships and my relationships that I have. I'm that friend that they're going to call. It doesn't matter how ugly the situation is or whichever the case may be, which has shown me my heart more than I've known my heart for myself. So seeing how I've impacted others or provided safe spaces for others has actually turned a mirror on myself for me to see the type of person that I'm presenting myself to be, because I didn't walk into those relationships like I'm going to be, of course I have good intentions, but it wasn't like I was sitting there like, yeah, I want this person to feel like they can pour their entire lives into me, because it can become heavy load, like Prototype was saying. Like sometimes you have to I've learned that you have to leverage that, right? um but truly, I really do take pride. I think I see it as an act of service, to be honest. I feel like if there's anybody who is going to confide and talk to you, then you should try your best to be a safe space for that person. And I think the value in that is knowing that when somebody else speaks of you or when they think of you, you know that that person is thinking, I can talk to Ash. I can go to Ash when in their moments of like vulnerability. If somebody's like you're the thought when somebody's like, I'm gonna pick up my phone or I'm gonna try to meet with this person, that is a very rewarding feeling and and just should make you, reassure you that you're a good person. So I think that's the value in it. And next, Dwayne.
I'm struggling a little bit because safe space. Certain things don't need safe spaces. Certain habits don't need safe spaces. Okay? Certain behaviors don't need safe spaces. All right? So I'm struggling with that one. Like from the aspect of like where I started to learn about safe space was from a political standpoint, where this, as for snowflakes, they need a safe space. They're emotional petting animals and these things, right, like in colleges, right? So I look at it from that standpoint as well. Like certain emotions don't need to be harbored. So as for safe space to me, the more I'm listening, it can be relative. So but then home specific. So there are certain things that do need safe spaces, and there are certain things that don't need safe spaces. There's certain fear should not have as far as a safe space as we are cultivating fear. There shouldn't be a safe space for that, in my opinion. So I'm struggling with that. But going back to the actual question, the value of it is knowing that if you so choose and do desire to be better, there's somebody there that you can confide in. There is a accurate mirror in which you can get a reflection on and how you can be better. I believe that's the ultimate safe space for me, that is. So even as for the same with everything that you do, make sure you do it in love. In love, and that your love is not necessarily self-seeking, but you're also doing it for the interest of the other person as well. So I also then go back and I look at what y'all were saying as for it's a thing that spans over time. So for me, the Bible says, "Be ye perfect." That's a continual thing. It's a pursuit for maturity. It's a pursuit for maturity. Also, I believe it's the Declaration of Independence. In order to create a more perfect union, these are steps towards a betterment of oneself. And in a relationship is a betterment of not just yourself, but also your partner as well. So allowing that safe space for the growth and the betterment of each individual to be the best that they can be, and especially in a relationship for each other. So that's what the value of the safe space is, where you're able to cultivate good habits, good integrity for each other, where you're not tearing each other down, building safe spaces for the ability to tear each other down, but building safe spaces where you can build each other up.
That's good. Who you got next?
Let's go, Robert.
So I think safe spaces are capacity and volume driven. And so you're only as valuable as someone's ability or willingness to want to hear hard conversations and the dedication to be better. And you have to also ensure that what you deem as a safe space is what they need, not just exactly what you're trying to offer. It goes back to what I was talking about, knowing people that labor among you, knowing how they hear information, knowing how they receive information, and knowing how they're going to respond to what that looks like. The other thing is we got to be selective about who we're a safe space to, and then who we want to be our safe spaces. And it's funny because we'll give up our body before we give up our dreams. You see what I'm saying? And so it's almost like we have to put a bigger value system on our safe space. We got to put a bigger value system on our bodies and stuff like that, because the thing, we just give away so much, and we think everybody we meet is a safe space. Everybody we meet is in a safe space. You got to be willing to say, are you willing to stand the test of time? Are you willing to be connected to me? Like I said earlier, on my best and my worst day. But before you're able to do that, one thing I always ask somebody: if you want me to be your safe space, what are you willing to receive? Because if you don't have a capacity for me to be that safe space to you, then we just need to be layered. We need to be friends on the surface. Because if I connect myself to you, if I give myself to you, if I say our hearts are now connected, and this is male and female, ain't no weird stuff, because I want the guys that I'm cool with, I want them to win too. You see what I'm saying? Ain't no weird stuff here. But if you really want me to be connected to the betterment of your life, then you have to be willing to hear the bad aspects of your life in a loving way. You see what I'm saying? You got to be willing to hear those, and everything that ain't peachy don't mean it ain't loving. Because I got to be the guy that's going to tell you the hard truth too. But do you love me enough? Do you value me enough? Do you respect me enough to tell you a thing that can't nobody else tell you? So I think I had a guy tell me a long time ago that you don't pick your mentees. The mentees pick the mentors. So if you're going to be a safe space, you have to wait to be selected for that. You may be available for that, but you have to let the person that's requiring the safe space kind of like, say, hey, I need you for this particular thing. And then when you ask for that particular thing, you got to be willing to receive what that looks like. My dad told me a long time ago, he said, listen, if you want my money, you got to be willing to handle my opinion. And so I think that translates, you know what I mean? If you want my time, if you want me to hear you complain about your relationship, if you want me to hear you complain about your finances, if you want me here to complain about your resources, your children, if you want me to have the time to listen to that, and there's an area that I can help you in that, then you got to be willing to hear what I'm willing to give you in that safe space as well. So I think it's a dual fold aspect. The value of safe spaces is priceless. Be selective, put value on it, and then when you put value on it, let people know what you're willing to receive, and then after that, trust it enough to hear even the hardest facts about yourself. That's all I got.
Who you got going next? Oh, let me before you say next, Tamir, you had a question for Dwayne. What you got?
Yes, and Robert just helped me so much because Dwayne said, quote, certain emotions don't need to be harbored, unquote, right? And I was curious as to what you were referring to where everything doesn't need a safe space, because my question to you is, if you are a safe space, like Robert was just explaining, then you should be able to react or have that person share the good, the bad, the ugly, and be able to communicate to them, hey, what you're bringing to me right now, we're not going to coddle that. Like whatever this is that you're carrying is not truth. So it's like, is it really that everything doesn't deserve a safe space? Because you also said, everything we do in love. Or is it like what Robert was saying, where you cannot be everybody's safe space? So like if you want to be a safe space for someone, then everything should be, okay to tell them in truth. Even the things that it's like, hey, you're feeling really heavy about this. But maybe this is not worth your, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. But I wanted more for you to elaborate more on like, what did you mean by everything doesn't need a safe space? Because if you're a safe space for everyone, then communication and truth is supposed to be valued in there as well. Oh, we can't hear you.
Appreciate that.
Okay.
So I use fear. Fear is one of them. Also, as for criticism, I had to go and look up the definition, and it's like a place, as on a college campus, intended to be free of bias, conflict, criticism, or potential threatening actions, ideas, or conversations. A threatening conversation could be something that goes against your mindset, right?
Yeah.
Your beliefs. So if you have a dysfunctional thought process that you think about yourself as not being anything because that's where you may have came from, that's not a safe space I want to harbor for you. That's somewhere where you might naturally want to reside, but I don't desire to harbor that or cultivate that. In like a petri dish, that's not the culture in which I desire to then cultivate in that. I desire to then rid that and get something else that's much healthy. So there's healthy homes, and then there's not healthy homes.
Yeah.
There's healthy behaviors and unhealthy behaviors. If we, because I'll put it like that too, if we have unhealthy behaviors, those are things that we should get rid of. And in order to get better, we have to then be able to put those things off and then put on something new. And in that, we should have the safe space for the growth, but not safe space for the stagnation,
Right.
or even complacency.
And in that, I would say anybody that does that is not a safe space. So like anybody that does that for that person, like harbors or coddles that I am nothing for that person. Oh, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry you feel like you're nothing. I feel like that's not a safe space. Like, that's not being a safe space for that person. Like, that wouldn't even be considered a safe space for them. That would be helping that person. Like, there's a difference between pacifying and safe space.
So my wife and I had a conversation about sympathy and empathy. Right. So in that, this feeling pity for someone, or then going where someone is in order to then get them from where they are to somewhere better. So even in that, some people desire to live in pity.
That space.
and
Mhm.
in that, that's not healthy. So in that, I'm not going to be a safe space for that, but I'm all about the uplifting, and then desiring someone to be better than they are, and that's
Got it.
also in myself. So I look for that, I seek for that, and that's the same thing in the mentoring. I look for and seek for
Mhm.
people who are doing things better than I am, so that I can then get to where they're at, and not most importantly, help other people elevate themselves to a different level as well.
So we're on the
So
same page. Got it.
yeah, yeah,
We're
yeah.
here. We're on
Okay.
the same page. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it.
That's what's up, Robert. Who
Thank
you want to
you.
go next?
Let's go with Ash. You know what it is. Let's go with Ash. Let's do it.
I have nothing. Y'all took everything. This is not a safe place tonight. How about that? Now, to me, basically, is what y'all said. A safe place is where I can be me, no filters. You know that what I'm saying is not anything geared towards you. It's the situation that unfolded or the results of whatever it was. You know, I think a lot of times when we don't put the value, we just put people in valuable places that they don't uphold. And I think that's where we get in trouble, is by putting people that we only known for 2 minutes in real life situation with the spouse or with the kids, and here it is, they dropped the ball. Now we mad. Now we're saying that the person is bad. No, the person was not fit for the job. You put them in that category. No, they don't belong there. I think a safe space is very valuable, because when I am having one of my moments where I just feel like I'm not being the best mom, I got my best friend, I'm calling, hey, let's talk this out, you know, and you're gonna give me the feedback. Yeah, you're doing this and doing that. But I'm like, yeah, I could have did this way. Or I don't think I handled my oldest this way. I don't think I drove it home, you know. Maybe I need to put a little violence with it, because I don't think she understands what I'm saying, you know. And he'd be like, "Nah, you handled it right." Well, I'm like, well, you know, that you know, they out of control, man. I ain't got no drink, you know. So, but sometimes, you know, you need somebody to actually talk to you, you know, in your language. I think it was in Lost in Translations, like, you only know how to talk to you. And sometimes you need that actual person that do need to talk to you in the way that you can relate to, because sometimes some of these folks ain't got your best interest. They just want your best business so they can spread it. So I'm gonna go ahead and kick it off to Lost in Translation. Put your eyebrows down.
Thank you, Ash. To answer the question, Humble Dad, is what are the benefits of a safe space? The benefits of a safe space is so that you can arrive to consensus and also hold each other accountable. You know what I mean? I'll tell you why. Generally, what happens is when you have the ability, when you've gotten to the point where you can trust this particular person, it's much easier to agree on things. You know what I mean? Because you can actually say, "Hey, look, this is what our agreed upon, set upon goals are, and this is what you said you wanted. So here it is." And then it makes it a whole lot easier to do it that way. Now, if there are ulterior motives that haven't been spoken about, then that's not really a safe space, because we haven't addressed underlying issues. I'll give you an example. Say, for instance, you're in a marriage, okay, and your wife looks over the fence and she sees Mrs. Jones has, bought her, her husband bought her a new car. And she'll turn around and say, well, Mr. Jones loves her wife so much that he bought her a car. And the wife would turn around, your wife would turn around and say, well, you must don't love me as much as Mr. Jones does his wife, because he bought her a car. Why won't you buy me one? See, there's a performance that needs to be met in this particular area. But my thing is this: have you agreed upon what it's going to take to get to that? We don't know exactly what they agreed upon. So my thing is this: there is a level of envy that needs to be dealt with. There's a level of covetousness that needs to be dealt with. And whenever you come together in that particular place, that is not really a safe space, because not all the cards are on the table. Someone is hiding an ace, and you can't play your card game with other people hiding other cards. You see what I'm saying? So now that's the benefit of actually having a safe space, so you can arrive at consensus a whole lot quicker when you've actually decided to say, hey, look, I'm going to be transparent. This is all that I have. There are no surprises. There's none of that stuff. It's like what Dwayne spoke about. You eliminate the fear in that particular situation. Now, here's the thing. Can we do that? And that's a personal question that we all must ask ourselves. You know what I mean? Whenever we start to talk to people, hey, how did I do as a safe space for this person versus, oh, this person coming to me, dumping their junk on me? Did you connect? And a lot of times when we talk about safe spaces, we leave out the fundamental ingredient, which is engagement. You know what I mean? With my friends, I tell them, I say, if you're going to vent to me, you come to my house and you look me in my eye and we're going to talk, because I'm going to eliminate whatever I'm doing. I want you to see into my eyes. I want to see into your eyes. I'm going to eliminate all distractions, because if it's important enough for you to tell me about it, it's important for you to be in my presence. You see what I'm saying? And then that way they know for a fact that I'm engaged. I'm going to ask questions. I'm going to ask them, what is it that you want to have accomplished? And by the time we get done with that, that actually moves them forward to do what they have to do. So my thing is you can't vent to me over the phone, because my time is valuable. Now, at this point, I'm letting you know I'm making time just for you. You are that important to me that I'm scheduling time just for you. I'm moving this stuff away to the side because you are that important to me. And my thing is this: if it's not really that important, then at that particular point in time, it's really not something that you really need to vent about. It's something you probably need to address to yourself. But that's the benefit of actually having a safe space, A, to reach consensus, and also two, to hold each other accountable.
Yeah, that's good. To add on to that, if you're going to be a safe space, I learned this in this coaching class that I just took last week. And one of the elements of the coaching session is allowing the person to lead the conversation, and you're listening, and you're doing a lot of asking questions, and also in some regard affirming them. I think the word that we talked about was validation, right? Me and the person was talking about, you want to validate what they're saying, not necessarily agreeing or making a particular opinion just yet, but kind of helping them see that they kind of have the answers, unless they just are out of answers. Then you can say, you can lead them in a way that they can get to a particular place of having an understanding that they can figure this out by themselves, that you just really kind of need to be a sounding board or a co-listening partner, if you will. And so as I'm hearing that, we also got to have them have those takeaways from the conversation with an action plan, because otherwise it is just venting, right? You want to be able to give the person that is saying that you're a safe space, yes, you want to vent. You got to ask them that too. Do you want to just vent, or do you want to resolve this? Like, I don't know who said it, but they said, what would you like to accomplish with what it is that you're telling me? Right. And I know I did that once, and I was just like, I don't know what I want to do. I just want to be able to say it. You know what I'm saying? So it is that sometimes that I just want to say it, or they just want to say it, and they don't want necessarily an answer. So to be a safe space is being able to know how to guide the conversation, and also how to resolve or help them resolve the situation that they have in mind. So far, we're doing good, people. I mean, y'all have brought y'all work hats to the table, and I really appreciate that. Nobody's cracking jokes yet, so I guess this is too serious of a conversation, So we're gonna keep it going. And the question that I have, or the statement that I have, because it kind of coincides with being a safe space. What are the qualities of a good listener? What are the qualities of a good listener? We're gonna start with Dwayne.
I go with what Lost in Translation said. I want to look you in your eye. I want to look you in your face, right? Like that face. Like, I want to read your like Shirley, you said, put your eyebrow down. In that, it's like I want to be like, there's so many as for nonverbal cues in which we give off that you could tell. Like, some people could tell you lying, your mouth going, right, and you sound like you spitting some beautiful stuff, right? You just going at it, but your body language is sitting there just telling you are lying, right? Some people would be like, did you like that? I sure did like that. That was good. They shaking their heads and they're saying, no, they didn't. But their mouth is saying, yes, they did. Right. So I want to be able to look at you. I want to be able to see you. So for me, quality of a good listener is eye to eye contact. Some people, I know I did it. My dad used to, he sit there and talk to me. This was me. Disrespectful. And I go back and I look at myself and I'm like, man, you were disrespectful. You weren't looking at him in his face when he was talking to you. So that's one of my signs. You really know if someone's in tune and paying attention to what you're saying or are listening to you if they're looking at you. So eye contact, body language. Let's go with Tamir. Let's go. Let's get it.
Perfect. Thank you. So I actually, as soon as you asked about a good listener, because I actually want to give like context, being that this is like in my profession. So I have different types of listening skills, right? And I learned this getting my certification for coaching, but you have subjective listening, which is when we have the habit of only listening to what we can like relate to, meaning you're not really listening at all. So that's like when you're listening to somebody and then you only become active in the conversation when you hear something that's relatable to you. That's when your receptors go off because you're like, okay, hey, so that's that. Then you have objective listening. So you heard the words said and you're able to repeat it. So that's when you're actively like, you're listening to somebody because you're just like, okay, I'm hearing you. If you ask me right now what you just said, I'll be able to tell you what you just said. And then you have intuitive listening, where it's you can connect to the real message of the speaker. And essentially, we all want to or should at least have a goal to be intuitive listeners, especially when we're referring to a safe space, right? So if you're in class, and you're learning, you're in a lecture, objective listening is fine. You're trying to retain information. But in relationships or with your friendships or just in being a safe space, we should all be aiming to be intuitive listeners. So if somebody's coming to you and they want to talk to you, they want to share something with you, whatever the case may be, your goal should be to empathize or sympathize, whichever it is, with them so that you can reach that goal in helping them and providing that safe space for them. So I would say intuitively listening is being a good listener. So not just listening objectively, but like Dwayne is saying, essentially intuitive would be you see their body language, you're listening to them, you're hearing what they're saying, and then you're also reading between those lines to see how you can, help them come to a resolve.
I forgot. We on the part that whoever wants to respond can respond. We don't have to pick on anybody. So if you have something to say, go ahead.
So I want to thank you for that intuitive listening part, because the question kind of stumped me, right? What are some good qualities of a good listener? And I'm sitting here thinking like, I am not a good listener at all, right? Like, because if you're venting to me about something, I'm thinking about how to solve it. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not the listener to be like, just to hear you out. Like, I'm here for solutions. You know what I'm saying? So, but you just said that's where we all need to get to. So I just been hanging out there. You know what I mean? So you just made me feel better about what kind of listener I am. But before that, I was just like, I'm a terrible listener because all this, I got ADHD. We already talked about it, man. I'm not.
Yeah.
Everybody want to say they have ADHD. Listen, y'all, you just don't listen, bro. Like most people don't have it.
I know I got it. So I mean,
I've been clinically diagnosed.
Yeah,
It's more than
what it is.
It's more than the listening part. Yeah.
But the intuitive part, like I said, like I'm here to solve the problem. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So if you're venting to me about anything, I'm trying to give you feedback on how to make it better, how we're gonna get to the next level, how to move forward. And that's what I'm looking for as well. I'm not just telling people my problems just so I just wanted to hear you out, like, you know what I mean, or somebody to hear me. No, if you got a solution for me, you know what I mean, like spit me one, like, you know what I mean. I kind of hate, and I think this is what Loss was kind of pointing to. Like, I kind of hate where it's just a venting session. You know what I mean? Like if it just turns into that, or they be like, man, that's crazy.
That's funny.
I can't.
That's why we only got 7 minutes, bro. 7 minutes. That's it.
Yeah.
Ain't go no further than that.
I don't want to vent. I want to look, man. This is how I'm feeling. I want to dig deep and figure out why I feel this way, how we can get it changed, how we can be better people. You know what I'm saying? I'm not just talking just to be
And
like, oh, we talking.
And there's actually like a safe space, healthy approach to that. And in coaching, it's called intruding. And that sounds harsh, right? But like intruding can be like what Robert and his friend does, right? We're at that 7-minute mark. Or it can be like, hey, where are we going? Like, where's this train going? You know, where you just bring that person back to level 1, where because that person can genuinely just be like feeling, you know, like what you're hearing from that rambling is like that's the person's internal feelings, and you're there as a safe space to bring them out of that, in a sense, to create logic. And like Dr. HD, good, because I almost said his work name. But there's also an aspect of like with the validating, because some people hear like validating and they think, well, I'm not going to validate that you think you're a failure. You know, validating doesn't mean that you're making their feelings truth or whatever the case may be. Validating is simply saying, okay, you're allowed to feel like that, but what are we going to do about it to fix it? Right? But there needs to be, because you are, Dwayne, you can't tell somebody, because feelings are not facts, right? But feelings are real. So if I did something to you and that made you angry, I cannot turn around and say you have no right to feel angry. I can say, hey, I made you angry. You have all rights. If that's what triggered you, that's what pushed your buttons. Okay, because I've also learned in coaching, people don't create buttons. Your buttons come from somewhere, right? So like you don't just magically get a button to push. That was built up. So it's like if a person is feeling like I am nothing or I'm a failure, that button that's getting pushed was formed somewhere. We cannot invalidate the button. We can remove the button like you plan to, but you cannot. The first thing that person has to do is accept. And there's no acceptance if you just turn around and tell, like, act like, nope, can't feel that way. Can't feel like a failure. Can't feel it. No, that's how you feel. Okay, that's how you felt for the past 5 years, 10 years, 8 minutes. Okay, but we're not going to hold on to that. That's that intruding. We cannot hold on to that. 7 minutes is up. How are we going to let that go? And that's where coaching comes from. The biggest thing of coaching is like, I'm not going to make you feel wrong or try to eliminate your true already experienced emotions, but we need to come to some sort of action plan. Like we need to figure out you're going to not feel like that tomorrow. And if it does come up again, how are we going to handle that without me there or without my voice? And that's where you become that safe space for that person.
How do you do this to your husband?
What do you mean?
Like, I mean, we talk about being a safe space, and then you're
Yes,
professional
yes.
at this. And so he comes to you and he said, listen, this is what's on my mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you tell him, listen, you only got 7 minutes.
You're on the clock.
Well, I don't tell. Well, the clock wasn't my idea, so I don't.
I want to make sure I'm clear right there, though. The 7 minutes
is
is
because is a good thing.
Yeah,
I'm talking to another guy, and
Mhm.
I don't exactly want to like be venting in his ear for like anything longer. It just gets weird after 7 minutes. That was our rule.
I understand. We using the rule as an example, though.
But to be for real,
as a point. So like, how would So the point is trying to get not just talk around this, right, but actually put it to use, right? So we were already talking about men and women, right? And that women don't really do that well for men. So as a clinical side, like as a professional,
yeah,
right? Like how do you, if you don't have to say you don't have to say if you don't want to, but how could, if you want us to use you as an example or how could women do a better job of doing what you said?
The first thing The first thing that I had, so I'm gonna use personal and then what I would tell a person professionally is you do not need to listen with your emotions. You have to accept that emotions are not facts. A lot of women, including myself, we respond to things as though how we feel is a fact. And the biggest thing that I've learned is that there's true and there's truth. And that's what helped me in my marriage. So, no, I was not always like, yeah, your feelings are totally validated. And I get why you feel like I just pissed you off. No, they were not always like that. It was like, why are you mad at me? I was trying to help, blah, blah, blah. But through even my learning and getting certified, my marriage improved because one of the biggest things that stood out for me was true versus truth. And I'm telling you, it saved my life with a lot of things because there is true, which is simply what you experienced, right? So true could be, let's use Ash as an example. She got on the bus. She rolled her eyes at me, didn't scan her bus pass, sat down. She clearly don't have no respect for me, right? It is true that is how Ash felt in that moment. She's not lying to you. That is really what happened in her point of view. But truth could be maybe this woman just got fired from her job, got on the bus. Maybe she just got off a phone and was rolling her eyes at the fact that whatever was said on the phone, right? That's truth. Like the truth is like on the other end, there's something that's really happening and not just what we perceive. So there's true versus truth. You have to make room to hear the truth. I could feel like my husband was mad at me, wanted to hurt my feelings, and that's my true. But the truth could be I was being honest with you. I was telling you straight up what's happening. I don't hate you. I don't have a problem with you. I'm no longer in love with you. I'm just telling you, you need to wash the dishes. That allows women and men to approach a situation like allows us to approach a situation for what it is. It allows you. So as a professional, you have to hear the truth. Like you have to hear the truth behind things. Okay, I feel this way. That's great. Let me go find out if that's really what person B is feeling. And then we can go from there.
We're going to go Ash, Dwayne, Lost and Translated Prototype. And then if Robert want to get in on this particular conversation, you can. Go ahead, Ash.
Okay, my thing is women need to stop listening for the firebacks. You know, a man telling you something and they follow the way.
Listening to respond.
Oh, you know what? You remember last week when you said your mama didn't love you, and then they go off and they file out that list. That's what they need to stop doing. Because I feel, because me and my best friend, he's a guy, we were having this conversation. It was like, see, this is why men don't like telling women stuff, because you file it and bring it back up later when you mad. And that's the wrong thing to do. I'm coming at you because this happened. And I feel like Prototype said, I didn't gain that time, or I feel like this is a safe space now. I can tell you about this particular incident. But if I know you're going to fire it back, I ain't even tell you nothing. Tell you for what? Because you're just using it as ammo. I don't need you to shoot a gun in my head when I'm already got the bullets loaded myself. And I think a lot of time women, we don't take that in consideration. Like, yeah, it may come off as a nice, quick comeback, but it's not right. Because if we do it, oh my God,
gosh, I'm crying.
He said my edges is coming out.
I'm crying.
I'm getting stretch marks, you know. Like if they call you fat, all right, you need to get your fat, you know, it's up in the gym. That's why you look like, you know, roly-poly-oly. We hurt. Don't act like you ain't never called somebody fat and they just went to pieces and started rolling all on the floor.
I've never called somebody fat.
That's not something that a man can tell a woman.
Shoot, you must say you must not know. But anyway,
I'm saying without there being a consequence.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's
that word.
But when women do it, it's okay. I'm a feminist. I can say that. No, it's not okay.
No.
We're gonna respect each other. Let's respect each other all the way around. Because if we're gonna create this safe space, you got to be able to show the kids that this is a safe space. Because if they learning from us that it's World War III and we're going head to head, take the firebacks, fire them all in one night, and then you tearing down a household. So it becomes a bigger problem, and that's spewing over to the next generation. So we can't cure it. So I'm gonna let Dwayne go because it is a safe space.
Man, I appreciate that. Man, put that gun up too. All right. So, all right. So in this marriage class, actually in premarital counseling, 9 years ago, they showed us this video, and it's called "It's Not the Nail."
Oh yeah, we talked
I
about
know
this.
that it's not the nail.
All right.
Robert, have
Bring
you
it to
seen
the
that?
table.
It's not the
Bring
nail.
it to the table.
Okay. All right.
Bring
So
it to the table.
this goes back to, I heard a couple of people talking about fix it, right? Well, we just want to fix it. Then you talked about it earlier, or Dr. E, my bad. Forgive me for the disrespect there, sir. Put some respect on your name. Dr. HD said it earlier. As for the preloading, it's called preloading, where it's what do you want from me? What is it that you're looking for me to give you in this conversation? Are you looking for me to fix it, or are you looking for me for some to bounce ideas off me, or are you just looking for me to listen? And that's what it's not the nail is about. The chick got a nail right there in her forehead. It's getting snagged on the sweater, all this other stuff, and the dude's like, "Hey, if you just get that nail, right?" He wants to fix it. But that's not what she wants. She's just looking for him to just listen. And he's like, "I know, but if I just get that nail, like, you be good." But that's not it. So people in that, then as for safe space, like, what are you looking for me in a safe space? What are you looking for in a safe space? And that's where I struggle with that. Because even what I was saying earlier, some things, hey, we need to get that daggum nail out your forehead, because that ain't safe in itself, right? But that's not what they want. And as for struggling with that, hey, sometimes you got to hear them out. And eventually, they'll get to the point where it's like, you know what, it's this damn nail. And ain't no idea to somebody like their own idea. You can't tell them about until they come to the realization that it's like, okay, you know what, maybe if I get this nail out, I'll be good. And it's like, damn, I've been telling you that. How long I've been telling you that? Or somebody else come and say, hey, it's.
I was just about to say, like, I can't tell you that it's a nail, but somebody else can tell you.
Somebody else say, you know what somebody said today on the bus as I had a pissy attitude getting on the bus. Somebody said I had a nail in my forehead, and that's why you had a pissy attitude. Then you got it out.
That book, Love and Respect, is good for that too. The book Love and Respect is really good for, about respect versus like the respect he needs and the love that she desires. It's really good.
Tamia in her bag tonight. I see you, Tamia.
This is my lane.
I see you. I think it's on. Who is it on? Is it on?
Lost in Translation.
Okay, go ahead,
Here's the thing, man. The qualities of a good listener is somebody who doesn't add to the conversation things that weren't even involved in the conversation. Or say, for instance, if you come to somebody, you tell them about a story or something you experienced, and they'll take it and turn it around, and all of a sudden it's about them. You know what I mean? You know, you came to them and say, hey, look, show me how to make this omelet. And by the time they get through throwing all of their junk in there, throwing their story in there, you got etouffee instead of an omelet. You know what I'm saying? They didn't put all kind of shrimp in your story, and then they turn it around and somehow it's all about them. You know what I mean? You came to them and said, hey, look, I want to talk to you about this. And all of a sudden they venting to you and you never even solved your problem. It's like they took their trash and poured it in your garbage can. And you was like, hey man, I was just trying to empty this out, you know, a little bit. I didn't came to you for some help, and you done dumped all your trash on me. So I feel worse now that I've talked to you. See, the problem is that you have to know who you're dealing with. You know what I mean? I got certain friends that I have to guide the conversation, or I have to break the fourth wall with them. And I say, hey, look, before you talk to me, say good morning. Acknowledge my existence first before you start dumping stuff on me. You know what I mean? Don't do that to me. You know, ask me how I'm doing. Clear the time. See if I'm not busy. You see what I'm saying? And a lot of times we'll get in there, how it's supposed to go. You call and say, hey, look, how are you today? Listen, are you busy? Do you have time to talk? You have to clear the time. For some strange reason, we don't know how to do that. And I don't like that. It's just like you're stealing from me at this time. You know what I mean? You're stealing my time. You're stealing my energy. You're stealing my knowledge. You're stealing my wisdom. You didn't even acknowledge me You know what I mean? And it's just like you just walking in the house and just making yourself a sandwich, putting your feet up on my couch. I didn't even invite you in yet. You see what I'm saying? The qualities of a good listener is someone who does not add to the story, somebody who just listens and allows the spotlight to be on the person who's asking the questions without them trying to steal the shine. That's all that is.
That's good.
Lost, you know you're my brother, right?
Yeah, man.
I'm gonna have to disagree with you on
Dang.
that.
There you go. There you go. We've been waiting on it, brother. There you go, Prototype. There he is. There he is. Been quiet all night.
Before y'all go off,
This is what I signed off
before y'all
for.
go off on Prototype,
way.
I love it when he does this because he always opens my eyes to something I didn't think about.
For sure.
So go ahead, Prototype.
Look, man. So I understand. You come off more like an introvert, maybe, and it takes a lot out of you, right? But for me, I'm definitely that friend that will call anybody from my panel and be like, "I need you right now." Blah 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 blah. This and that. And not a good morning. Not a how you feeling. Like I'll hit the emergency button on them. Like, "Hey, I need you right now. This is on my mind." Blah 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 blah. X Y Z. Or, "Hey, we gotta have a body." Like, you know what I'm saying? Anything. Right. I don't really have time sometimes to be like, "Hey, before I interrupt you, do you have a moment?" If I have to do that, you're not in the safe space. You're not. You know what I'm saying? And I'm not saying. For me, you're just not a part of the safe space. If I can't just intrude, if I can't come in your house, I need to have a key and open up the refrigerator whenever I'm hungry. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm that kind of friend. But in return, you can do that to me. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. Like I'll drop anything for, you know what I mean, for those people in that space. So I feel you. I get you. I know some people are like that, but I would even impose, even on my friends that are like that, like Leafer's kind of like you, and even Mo Better's kind of like you, but they understand me enough to be like, I got to give him this kind of space because that's just who he is. You understand what I'm saying? To go back a little bit though, to my man Dwayne, right? Now, the not the nail thing, right? I don't know if you ever had a cavity. Have you ever had a cavity before?
How'd you was off of mute and then you put yourself on mute?
Oh man, because I wanted to answer it. Man, I wanted to answer that. Oh, down to the root canal, brother.
Down to the root canal. They don't clean your teeth if you have a cavity. If you go to the dentist, they be like, I can't even clean your teeth. I have to fix the cavity. So all that not the nail stuff. No, we got to get this nail out first. And I want to, like, before we move anything further, we got to address this main issue, and then we could build on it. And it kind of brought me to, and I know you're like a stickler for the word, right? Like the word don't necessarily tell you how to get out of baby mama, baby daddy situations. It's a fix the original issue. You're not married. Get married. You know what I'm saying? It says stop stealing. It don't tell you how to get out of the BS, how to live in the BS. It tells you how to just get right. Then when you get right, then you can come back and it'll kind of fix itself. So, you know what I'm saying? So that's kind of like the way you were saying, like, oh, let's I don't want to focus on the nail, or no, get the nail out, because that's what's important. And it just goes to, like, you know, the dentist cavity thing. They won't even clean your teeth if you got the cavity. So they'll set you up for the appointment, get you the root canal, and then when that's fixed, then we can start talking about cleaning your teeth on your 6-month cycle.
You know, I love that. I really do. Oh, Lost, did you want to?
Yeah, the reason why I let Prototype do that is because we're similar, except for the I and the E. I'm an INTJ, and he's an ENTJ. I'm going to listen to him. You see what I'm saying? Because what he said makes perfect sense. You know what I mean? In essence. Now, there are certain situations where if he calls me, he said, hey, man, I got this. Hey, as long as you're driving, I'm there, man. You know what I mean? I'm going to clear the time. I already told you that earlier. I clear time if it's important to you. You know what I mean? My thing is just make sure that you acknowledge that, hey, I have an existence as well. That's all I'm saying. But I agree. I agree where he's coming from. It's all about how we view the world through our different lenses. Mm-hmm. I'm an INTJ. He's an ENTJ. So I can respect that.
Yes.
So what's up, Dwayne?
Yeah, I do. So I also respect that perspective as well, prototype, because yeah, I see where you come from. You know, we can't be cleaning teeth, but it's the patient's decision. It's not the dentist's decision. So in that, we have to be patient in how we approach the patient and allow them to then desire and decide when they want to have the surgery done. In the instance of a root canal, they know they have to get it. They know as for the cavity. And just like in my case, I prolonged the cavity. Therefore, it had to get to the root canal, which needed more. So then who's it on? It's on me. So also it's on that person as well. But also in it, it's that patience, that level of patience, because if not, what you end up doing is you could also then push them away. So in that, I have to, I'm learning how to do this delicate balance, because guess what? Again, like I'm like, hey, I got the scalpel out, glove on, like let's go, let's get in there. But some people don't desire to get that deep as yet, and it has to build up. And once that patient is ready and they've tolerated enough pain, then they're ready to get into that surgery.
Can I comment really briefly? Really
You got to be brief to me,
It's
because
brief.
we got to listen.
I promise.
Listen.
Look,
listen.
you're using the time. You're using it.
Tell him.
Okay. So I really love what you said, Dwayne, because that is exactly what I was hitting for. Where yes, most of the time the men are right. Like y'all understand, because y'all see things for how to fix it, how to get it over with. We harbor a bit, right? Because there's pain, ow, root canal, my tooth, oh my gosh, cavity, needles, right? Okay, great. But the end goal for both of you should not be for one person on one end to feel like they were not heard or considered or seen at all. And what can happen is, like I learned in the book, with love and respect, the woman, you want your woman on board regardless. Like if she's not on board, the company's not functioning well. So if the woman functions that way, just like how y'all function, how you function, there needs to be a moment of that patience, so that your company, your team goal, your team plan can run fluently, like fluid. If not, if she doesn't respect you, the business ain't running how it should, right? So that's like one of those things where it's not you're coddling her or anything like that. But as man and woman, we function in certain ways, and you don't use batteries in a tool. You don't use AAA batteries in a tool that needs double. Like you just can't. It won't work right. So I like what Dwayne said. Okay, I'm done. Brief.
Oh, you, Robert, you gonna close us out, bro?
That's too much pressure. It really is. I'm gonna go a different way. I know I'm gonna lose prototype. I had him on my team all night long. I'm about to lose him right now. This is the one. I would say developing what's the characteristics of a good listener is actually being a better communicator. And I would posture that to say, I know we want safe spaces, and I get that, but it goes back to what I said earlier in terms of knowing what people can handle. My mom told me this like a week ago: lack of self-control or vulnerability does not warrant the ability to have lack of self-control. So if I feel a certain way about a particular thing, I need to communicate about a particular thing, I need to get my point across. It doesn't give me the right to not have self-control. And I say that because a lot of times when we're communicating about a particular thing that's important to us, that's emotional to us, that's important, whatever that looks like, sometimes we lose the control that we need necessary for the person to hear us in the right lens. Notice I said hear in the right lens, because part of what we hear is filtered by what it is that we see. So if I feel you being charismatic in a particular way or extra in a particular way, I'm tuning out everything that you said because of how I see you delivering it. It ain't got nothing to do with the decibel, because oftentimes we can have an argument on the phone where I can be like, you know what, we can figure that we can agree to disagree. But it's something about when you're in my face and I see those hands going, I see that mouth going, I see you throwing your hand at me. Let me tell you, the one thing my girl can do to me in any conversation is throw her hand at me, and that's it. I don't care what you said. It's the mere fact that you threw your hand at me. You know what I mean? And so I think as a communicator, alongside knowing what our partner can handle, we have to put them in a position where they don't have to be the bigger person while they're listening. It's our job to put them in a position to not have to be the bigger person when we're listening. Because they're a safe space, it does not give me the right to just go in on you and say, this is what I think about you as a person and things of the such. It still has to be filtered and saturated with enough information, enough love, enough context for them to still hear me in the right lens. Now, after I've done all that, bringing you back, Prototype, after I've done all that, don't take what I said and hear what you want to hear. You see what I'm saying? Like, don't take what I said. If I said the sky is blue, it's literally blue. It had nothing to do with you. It had everything to do with what I believe the sky is to be. Now, there's a place and a space where we can agree on what that looks like. And I want to say agree because I'm timing out with all this whole agreeing to disagree stuff. I don't even want to have a safe space with somebody where I got to agree to disagree. Like, I'm tired of that. If we don't agree, you ain't a safe space off the rip. We ain't even doing that. You see what I'm saying? So either we agree or we don't, and you're going to be in the associate category. I'm only going to deal with folks that I agree with now. That doesn't mean that they can't tell me hard truths and hard facts about me. Okay, because even if they tell me the hard truth and hard facts, if I'm person enough, if I'm mature enough, I'll be able to hear what they're saying and say, you know what? I agree with that. I rock with that. That is me. That is the real me, right? But no, I'm not finna have nobody in a safe space that we are agreeing to disagree. Because if I agree to disagree, you've just put me in a further disconnection from the space that I'm trying to get to in the first place. So I just to kind of sum it all up, if I want you to be a good listener, I have a responsibility to put you in a position to hear me in the right lens. And in doing so, it is also my responsibility to make sure that I don't use you as a punching bag. Hence my 7-minute rule. I'm done. I'm out. That's me right there. Prototype, we good? We good, bro.
That was a really good take, man. I really appreciate y'all once again. It's been a phenomenal show. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe to the channel. The biggest thing you can do is like it and subscribe and let others know about it. Right, we're doing some great work over here. We're gonna let everybody tell us where we can find you, and then a quick takeaway. We're gonna do the not X, but we're gonna do the first Twitter version. That's 140 characters for those that don't know. Okay, we're gonna start with you, Ash. Takeaway and where they can find you.
Takeaway is I don't have to be a punching bag. You're not dumping your trash in my trash can. You can find me at Instagram 360.diva. Tomorrow we'll be cooking because I'm off on Wednesday.
Oh, you, Tamia.
You can find me at the Coach Mia on TikTok and Instagram, and Tamia Lester on YouTube. My takeaway is that to be an intuitive listener. Be an intuitive listener. That's fine.
Lost in Translation.
You can find me at Lost in Translation Podcast. Also on Monday through Friday, sometimes Saturday on Black Man Unfiltered Network, and also here on Mondays at Humble Dads. My takeaway is be ready, man. You know what I mean? If you want to be a good listener, be ready. Always have what you need in place to do what you need to do. Sometimes life doesn't always create a convenience, you know what I mean, for you to be ready. Sometimes you just, got to go. You know what I mean? You can't plan life. You just have to be ready to listen and to be a good listener. So that's what I grabbed from today.
Appreciate you. On you, Robert.
Hey man, y'all can find me on Give Me a Second podcast on IG. We got a live recording coming up. I know some of y'all not in North Carolina, but we got a live recording of our podcast this Friday. So check us out there. Check out some of the shorts from that. My takeaway is be selective. If you're not willing to give up your dreams, don't give up your body. You won't have so many false replications of a safe space. It gives you less to recover from. So that's what I got, man. I appreciate being on this podcast with y'all. This was dope.
Appreciate you. Prototype.
Man, Prototype. You can find us Tuesdays 9. Tomorrow we're having our Thanksgiving episode. Tune in for that. Mondays on Humble Dad. Wednesdays we have the ladies on. Man, I'm all over this space. So I'm connected with Black Men Unfiltered. I'm connected with Lost, man. I'm just whoever need me. I'm connected with Ash, so it's always fun. My takeaway, I really want to dig into how we can connect our bodies to our emotions again and have those kind of conversations where I need to feel for you emotionally before I give you myself, give you my body, like how to put the value back on our body, man. Robert, great gym on that, man. Like now I just want to dig into it more because we just need I feel like as a community we need to figure that out.
It's a bet on you, Dwayne.
You catch me Monday nights here with Dr. HD and this fabulous panel of very intelligent people spitting that knowledge and that wisdom. You could also find me at Dwayne Jones Photography. Takeaway for tonight. Robert, appreciate you. I thought I was the only one who could not stand agreeing to disagree. I can't stand that. Prototype, you disagree?
I hate agreeing to disagree. I hate it.
I don't like that either, man.
Prototype Ben said that was his pet peeve a long time ago.
I can't
Well,
stand
good,
it. Like,
good.
I don't agree.
That's most of us.
Man, I'm glad I'm sitting down because I sure can't stand it. All right.
This is what this is stuff we be talking about all the time when we have conversations, man. This dude is something wrong with him, but I love him. Hey, my takeaway is once again, I got one of the dopest podcasts on the planet, you know, because y'all are very intelligent and y'all bring the heat and the knowledge, and it's very well worth it. My other takeaway is something what Prototype said when he said, since we are as men or CEOs, we got to think the long game. And if we want her to be a safe space, we got to help her become that safe space. And we got to be patient as she becomes that safe space. It doesn't happen overnight, you know? So that's what I learned. Until next time, we out here. Deuces.
The boy is dangerous. Bad feeling about this. You don't seem to understand something.
The thing that I like most about being a dad is that I see that I'm about to impact the world.